everyone. Welcome to Millennium Live. My name is Katie Perry, and today we are joined with Eric Burns, who's the CEO of Panopto. Thanks for joining us today, Eric.
Hey, Katie. Thanks for having me.
Before I jump in and start asking you questions, do you mind just giving us a little background of Panopto?
Yeah, we're a company that focuses on helping anyone share knowledge using video. We build a video platform that helps everybody from content creators making recordings of presentations and classes to institutions building big video libraries, all the way out to students and learners and employees who are watching these videos. And we started as a spin-off from Carnegie Mellon University back in 2007, and we've been at it ever since.
Wow. So when I tend to think of video, I think maybe more YouTube. So what is video in the workplace?
Yeah, I suppose the biggest difference between the way that people use YouTube and the way that people think about video inside the workplace is that YouTube is, first, it's for entertainment, not for sort of sharing information, which is, that really determines a lot of the way that you design a user interface and design workflows. And second, it's all public. It's all meant to, it's ad supported, it's meant to keep your attention. And those two things make it, kind of a very distinct experience as a user from what you see inside an organization, which is more, it's a private library. And typically it focuses on business or education scenarios, usually that involve communicating some information.
Okay.
So it's information, not entertainment, and it's typically private, not public. That's one of the big distinctions.
Yeah, that makes sense because, of course, YouTube is public. So how exactly does Panopto help organizations that you work with overcome communication challenges? And do you think there's a specific story of a customer that you could give?
Yeah, I think a great example is Qualcomm. They're kind of a sort of a classic large organization, knowledge industry, sort of ideal Panopto customer. And the way we think of, I guess, the problem space is that there is this positive feedback loop between people that have information and create videos to help share that, and then people that are looking for that information. And so one of the ways to think about how we help an organization like Qualcomm is that we both sort of light up the set of people that can share their information by giving them an easy way to record video. And by the way, that here in 2020, that kind of feels like a commodity, but it's actually very hard for most people to go from, I want to record my screen and my talking head and I want to share it with somebody, to I've made something that I'm proud of. So we help people solve that problem in really easy ways. They're sort of not scary and anybody can learn quickly. And then the big part of what we do is we consolidate all that video that people are making and sharing into a searchable library. And so we like to say that, if you're recording 100 hours of video a year, you have a recording problem. But if you're recording 10,000 hours of video a year, you have a search problem. And so we sort of exist to solve both problems. But that, something is working well when the way that people think about video is that they type in kind of a Google style search query and they're watching the exact part of the video that's relevant to them. So in a sense, that's what Qualcomm is buying. It's a searchable library of its own IP.
That's great. So you had mentioned how video's a commodity this year. And so I'm going to bring up the hot topic of the entire year, which is COVID-19.
Of course.
Do you think your customers' needs or wants have shifted this year?
I think it's in a way, it reinforces trends that are already in place. So there is already kind of a shift towards video in a way being the new document. And I think one of the sort of COVID effects is that it has forced everybody to reckon with what it would be like to do your job entirely virtually. And as it turns out, it's not great. There are a lot of ways that it's different from and less than, doing things together in person.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that it's proven is that it's also not scary, and a lot of people can do it, and it's basically pretty effective. So I guess that kind of revelation that everybody can do this, that's the biggest transformation that we've seen. But again, it's taken a decade plus of an existing trend and sort of accelerated it a bit.
Yeah, of course, because we all immediately went from working to a complete virtual workforce. I mean, look at you and me right now.
Yeah, and overnight. I mean, I think honestly, we should all be pretty proud of ourselves. This is something that most organizations thought wouldn't be possible, and collectively we did it almost overnight.
Right. So I know that you are a co-founder of the organization. And do you think that over the past 10 years, your problems have changed with technology?
Wow. When I think back to the start of the company, I mean, we predated the iPhone, we predated the cloud, at least in the way that people think of it today, and the rise of social networks. And so, I think it's kind of hard to say, to transfer that world to today. But I think one of the biggest changes that we've seen is that everything happens in a web browser now. People just assume that they're one click away from doing part of their workflow, or in our case, you click in your web browser and you're recording a video. And that is a major technology. That's like a generational shift from people installing programs to people just using things casually on the web. And I'd say that's one of the biggest changes that we've seen, I guess.
Okay, I would agree. So, I keep bringing up these hot topics, and I would say the next one is probably security. So
Mhm.
as more are flowing from video to meetings and even more, how has that impacted the technology security wise?
Um, I mean, security is one of those things that I guess, shouldn't have to think about. So somebody should think a lot about it, and everybody else shouldn't have to think about, how they do the right thing. And so, if you want to roll out something that is going to succeed at keeping content secure, you have to make it easy and automatic. And so, the greatest challenge. So I should back up and say that Panopto integrates with Zoom, and we're on our way to kind of all of the major unified communication platforms in being able to take the record button in these tools and make it a record to Panopto button.
Mhm.
And the thing that people want the most out of that, beyond just it has to work, the video has to come over, it has to be valuable and work well, is they want it to go to the right place. And the right place means, a repository in a lot of cases that is secure by default. That, if I'm in the marketing team and I'm, preparing something for the executive team, only the marketing team and the executive team should be able to see that thing that I'm preparing. Nobody else should accidentally encounter it. And you can't ask people to kind of, continually think about this and maintain these security systems themselves. You have to automate everything. And so the thing that we've seen a lot is people start to record, and some of our customers, they're recording 100,000 hours of meetings a year. And if you do that, automation is the only thing that will save you. You have to put things in the right place, and the right place means a place that is secure when you drop a video off there.
Absolutely. You mentioned how you're working with Zoom. So now that mostly all meetings are happening over video, whether it's Zoom or Skype or another platform, how has that impacted your business?
I mean, I think it is clarified the degree to which having a place to store, play back, and search videos is absolutely mission critical. I think there are a lot of organizations that have kind of taken a sort of a slow roll or sort of a laggard approach to, we're recording a few meetings and we have some training content over here and we've got this thing in Dropbox and this other thing in SharePoint. And I guess that is really no longer feasible for a lot of organizations. And so I think that the two stages that an organization goes through, in this environment where all this video is being created, is first the consolidation stage, just avoiding sprinkling little bits of information in a lot of different systems where nobody can find it. And then second, really focusing again on search. If you hit a certain threshold of making lots of stuff, the only way that you can really engage with a library of a certain size is to search it.
So, speaking of search, with all this content that's being created, and it's probably so much more than before, how do you make sure that people can find what they're looking for?
You have to take video and make it into something that is intrinsically searchable. And if you think of video, it's basically a big multi-gigabyte file. Like if you're recording something with your iPhone, you have this massive file, and it has no way to tell you what is in that. It doesn't, the file itself can't tell you what words people spoke, or if there was a screen in the video, what words were on the screen. It can't tell you what concepts are important. It has no sense of the timeline. And so the way that we make video searchable is to apply a lot of artificial intelligence and automation. We recognize every word that people say in most of the major world languages. If you're capturing your screen and a word appears on it, we OCR that so we can search by things on the screen. But what people are expecting is that instant gratification of, I type in my search query and we don't take you to the video. It's very frustrating if let's say that you watched a TED Talk and there was just this incredible line in there. and you run a search and it takes you to the TED Talk and it's an hour long. You're like, well, I guess I'll just sort of hunt around until maybe I get lucky and I find this thing. But what people really want is that instant gratification of you type in the concept or the term, and then the speaker says that thing. And if you can't deliver that, people won't, they will find it to be very costly in terms of time to get the information they want. So, a lot of what we're trying to solve is basically just accelerating the process of getting from, I need to find this thing in some video to, okay, now I'm watching the right part of the video.
So it seems that video might be becoming a core communication tool, especially in the corporate world. Do you think that maybe you'll see Panopto shifting to a full communication suite solution, such as email, web conferencing, chat? What do you think?
I think we're a video company to our core. We don't seek to replace something like SharePoint or Google Drive. We also, our ambitions are not to, supplant Zoom or WebEx as the way that people have live conversations. There is an enormous amount of stuff that people do that isn't synchronous. So we're having a synchronous conversation. There's a huge amount of valuable information that people want to reach that's asynchronous, where you're just watching videos on demand. And so, I think one of our university customers put it really well. They described Panopto as being part of the holy trinity of business continuity during the pandemic. And in their case, that consists of Zoom and Instructure Canvas, which is the learning management system. That's also the place where you can store the documents and have the chat and, kind of everything that isn't video. And then, of course, the third pillar of that is Panopto. And we're sort of the glue between those two systems.
I'm sure that was a great thing for you to hear. You must have been very happy.
We were very pleased. Yeah.
I'm sure. So what would you say to someone who might try to take baby steps into video through Dropbox or Google Drive or even Zoom's cloud storage?
I think it's sort of, beware the law of unintended consequences. Video is sort of an onion of a problem. Once you solve the immediate problem in front of you, that creates a new, more complicated problem, and it kind of goes from there. And so a lot of the organizations that we work with, they began taking these kinds of baby steps, and they wound up in kind of, I guess you kind of say, information retrieval bankruptcy. They no longer know what they have. They can't find what they have. No one knows where to go. Things are not secure. And that problem arises just by people, doing things incrementally. And so I guess, the best advice I can give is plan what the dream looks like 5 years out and figure out what things you would need to support that kind of dream. And I think for a lot of organizations, it comes back to that first question that you asked, which is, what does a corporate YouTube look like? And a corporate YouTube is, it's consolidated and it's searchable and it's really easy to use. And I think if you take your eye off the ball of those and you focus on the immediate problem, it can back you as an organization. It can back you into a corner that can be, expensive and painful to get out of.
Thank you so much for being here, Eric. This was a great interview. I hope that maybe we could see each other in person one day, although I know that video is for you. So it was great meeting you and hope to see you again.
Likewise. Thank you so much.